Run is a brand new 2020 horror thriller, and it stars Sarah Paulson. And the title is quite ironic, in my opinion, since this is about a little girl who can not run because she is paralyzed. Or is she? So now, Hulu made a TV series based on a true case called The Act with Joey King and Patricia Arquette. I want to say last year. Yeah, last year. And that is about a woman who convinces her daughter that she is sick and lives her life thinking that she's ill, that she's dying, that she's, you know, always one step away from it all being over. And that is a very well acted show. It's a very devastating show to watch, especially if you watch the accompanying documentary, which I think was on like HBO maybe or something. I don't even can't remember what that one's called off the top of my head. But if you look up the case that The Act is based on, you can find all of that stuff. Now, why am I bringing up The Act? Well, because this is yet another Hulu original that follows a very similar kind of story. You have a mother played by Sarah Paulson here, and she has a young daughter who is about to go away to college. You know, it's time for her to leave the nest, and this girl is ambitious, and she's fighting against her disabilities, and she's not letting the world stop her, much to her mother's chagrin. And through a series of events, she finds out that her mom has been telling some fibs. Okay, first things first. Had I not seen The Act, I think that's really where you need to go into with this movie. I thought this was going to be a TV series. I did not realize this was a feature film. So I was kind of a little disappointed in that. But then when I watched it, I'm glad this wasn't a series because it would straight up just be The Act Part 2. It might as well have been. And I guess if I was just to disconnect myself from The Act, I would say this is pretty good. I mean, I like this. I think the performances are really great, as expected. I didn't read too much of it. I just read the headline that the girl in this is actually in a wheelchair, which is cool. That they cast somebody that's supposed to be in a wheelchair who's actually in a wheelchair. So that's cool. And their performances, because they're the leads that carry the entire film, 99% of the screen time is them. They're both very good. So that works. And, okay, I think it is very hard for me to detach myself from The Act because it is so similar, because it's a Hulu original, because it's so fresh in my memory. This is fairly similar. I mean, different outcomes, definitely different events here and there, but it's so similar. And they're both Hulu. I have a hard time detaching myself from them, and I just think The Act is far superior. It's just because it has more time to flesh it out, and because it's a true story. It offers more than this one does for me. There's some forced conveniences in this that are trying to be clever, like something that the daughter pulls at the pharmacy. Like, she does one of these things that you would see in like a TV show, like Psych or something, where she sees something and she kind of like uses this to her advantage. We see this in movies all the time, but for some reason, like in this scene and other scenes, it just felt like forced, and like the writer was trying to have that moment, and I was just like, that wouldn't work here. I don't know, because the film, I was taking it so seriously, I started to really question, like, would that happen? I don't think that would happen. Which maybe I'm just being kind of lame, but the film overall, I thought was good. I think the performances are good. I think the tension can be good. It just feels like a combination between The Act and the movie Misery, and I think The Act is excellent, and I think Misery is like legit one of the greatest movies ever made. So this just kind of pales in comparison to the films that you can't help compare them to, you know? So, but as the film stands on its own, not comparing it, I still think it's not perfect. And I just wish I would have. I guess I just wish it would have went in different directions. Like, it's too it's too obvious. Everything that happens you can see coming from a mile away. Nothing is I don't know, risky. And even though I think this is an intimate story and we should focus and stay with two characters, I just didn't feel like we get enough time spent with other characters, and if we were going to keep it this intimate, I just wish we would have gotten more out of Sarah Paulson and why she was the way she was and why she did what she did, and her interacting with the daughter and her daughter's reactions to all of these things that she would be saying to her. Like, I feel like that's just not a big enough part of the film for me to really emotionally engage. Like, I feel bad. I mean, in this situation, no matter how they presented it, I'm gonna feel bad for any kind of like Munchausen by proxy or whatever they call that. I think the by proxy, right? That's that one. Like, by proxy is on that. Munchausen's, and then Munchausen's by proxy. I can't remember which one's which, but I think this is the by proxy one, but I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It's fine. I'm not a fucking doctor or psychologist. But anyway, whichever version of that this is, it's a sad fucking. It's horrible. I mean, you can't get much more horrible than going against your every natural instinct as a parent and harming your child. I mean, maybe she's deluded herself into believing she's protecting her or whatever, but I don't see how that could be possible, because she's clearly hurting this girl in every imaginable way. In every imaginable way. So yeah, it's a sad movie. It's very well acted. It's just not unique enough to tell this story better than something that came out very recently on the same platform. You know? So overall, it's a little bit of a miss for me, but not a bad watch. I think it's worth a watch, but just know going in that if you've seen the act, you're not going to be that impressed with this one. That's my opinion anyway. Let me know. Adios.